president, the resident visionary, the lead strategist of Golden Proportions Marketing. It's a marketing company that is solely focused on helping dentists grow their business. This is Xana Winans. Xana, what's up?
Hey, Glenn, how are you?
I am doing great. And I actually forgot to put something really important when I just kind of introduced you to everyone in here. And that is, you have been married to a dentist, Dr. Larry Winans, for, when we talked initially, it was like 23. Oh, when we first met, it was like 24 years or something. It's probably more now, right? How many years have you guys been married?
We've been married 26 and a half, and I was with him when he was in dental school. So I've been doing this for like almost 30 years. Well, like the married to a dentist part, not necessarily the marketing part.
And I want to get into this. I want to put your logo. So Golden Proportions Marketing, like I said, you've been helping dentists for quite some time. You've been on the speaking circuit, and I wanted to bring you on because, number one, you have a very unique perspective. Your spouse is a dentist. He's going through this right now. In fact, he's gone through multiple versions of some kind of economic shutdown throughout his whole career. And you've gone through this whole situation when he was in dental school, when he was a poor dental student. We all can relate to that. And let me ask you this, because I've been asking everybody that's been coming on, in your wildest dreams, you ever think anything like this? You'd go through anything like this?
Weirdly, yes. I'm one of those people who, like, when the last Ebola crisis came out, I was watching it going, this is it. This is the one that's going to take over.
Oh, man.
I mentioned to you before, I'm a little bit of a doomsday prepper. My freezer is completely full. I'm a Boy Scout in hiding. I am very, very prepared.
Do you have enough toilet paper?
I have I don't have a case like you do from Costco, but I've got enough. I got that. So my son lives in Seattle. He works for Boeing. And so I was hearing from him what was happening before it was hitting everybody else. And I'm like, this is coming. Go get ready. Before anybody else was thinking about it, I was done.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'm so first of all, thank you so much for jumping on. I wanted to, for those who are watching right now, you guys know I've been trying to bring all the experts on just so that we can kind of navigate what's going on right now, but also prepare for when hopefully this will be over sooner than later, but it will end eventually. And we wanted to position ourselves so that when that time comes, we're ready to go, right? And so, like I said, Xana is the founder of Golden Proportions Marketing, and you created this company because, well, your husband was a dentist, and we're so focused on the clinical side, and we always want to need new patients and whatnot. And then when you were telling me is that a lot of his friends were coming to you and asking you for marketing advice, and somehow you kind of created this firm. So just kind of briefly go over before we kind of dive into what we want to talk about, but what GPM does for dentists.
So Golden Proportions, we started almost 2 decades ago. That just means I've been doing this a really long time. Holy crap. But we are completely full service for dentists. So I came from a marketing background. I worked for big agencies long before I started this place. And when I started it, there were basically only a couple of companies that did marketing for dentists, and it would be like a postcard company or a website company. And that was all they did. And I said, that's crazy. There isn't any other client I've ever worked with where I'd say there's just one solution. So when I started our agency, it was always full service from the beginning, because I wouldn't treat a dentist's marketing any different than I would for a bank or a university or a corporation of some kind. So we are completely, like, we do the strategic plan, we do the execution of everything from your logo to your website to, frankly, your call tracking, everything.
I love it. So, I mean, really a 360-degree kind of like view and support for a dental practice. And so, I brought you on and we wanted to talk about, well, how are we going to do marketing for this post-COVID-19 world, right? Things are going to change. There's already rumors out there that the way we see patients is going to change. For the foreseeable future, the type of things that we could do has already changed, right? Right now, I mean, we can only see emergency patients. And for some states, it's X amount of months, and for others it's a lot longer. We don't know how long that's going to be, right? And then when we actually do see the patients, man, what do we have to wear? What do we have to have in our offices? But what the one thing that really does not change is the fact that we do still need to do marketing. We still need to let patients know that we're there. And who better to bring someone on to talk about that than you? So I wanted to bring you on to talk about that. And how's that going to change? What do you think?
It's interesting. When I went through the Great Recession 12 years ago, it was wild how things changed, because we started out as like a cosmetic agency. That was all we did. We worked with dentists who wanted to market cosmetic dentistry. And when the recession came and it hit, it totally changed how people viewed dentistry. The demand from patients changed. And I expect that to happen again here. We were kind of loosening back up. People wanted implants. They wanted cosmetics again. They wanted elective procedures. I see that all taking a back seat to just plain old general dentistry, restorative dentistry for probably a couple of years, because people have lost jobs. They've lost their insurances. They are without money for months on end. They are not going to have money for, unfortunately, the fun stuff that doctors love to do. So it's a little bit of a back to basics time, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like, when 2008, the crash in 2008 happened, there was a lot of people who were doing a lot of cosmetics and doing all these really big cases, these full mouth rehabs and whatnot. And then all of a sudden the well dried up, and then they had to go back to really the bread and butter stuff. And so do you kind of see that that's kind of shifting that? Because, here's the thing. One thing we're facing is, okay, we can only see emergency patients, but eventually that's going to lift.
Right.
But it's not like everyone's going to be beating down our door to come see us, because number one, they're scared probably of, they're scarred from this whole situation, but also they have been tightening their belt for so long. And so let's talk about that. When you're dealing with now the patient with a different mentality, what is the message that we need to be sending? Actually, what's the message, number one, we need to be sending right now? And then what is the message we need to be sending probably within the rest of the year, I would say?
Good question. So right now, I think the message is communication and connection. It is, while you have all this downtime, people still need to hear from you. People are just as anxious, and what an incredible time for social media to really be your primary medium to talk to patients, using video, doing live chats, anything that is authentic, that shows you're going through the exact same experience that they are. And so I see a lot of focus over the next couple of weeks just in staying in contact with your patients, and not boring clinical stuff, letting them know that your family's having the exact same experience that they are. It humanizes you. It takes down that barrier. But it's also a great time to be prepping for all that stuff for the future, because the message for the future is all about infection control.
Yeah.
I think that is going to drive a huge, it's almost like when the AIDS crisis happened. I mean, Lord, I was back in high school when that happened, but you remember that's all anybody thought about was, how are you going to protect me? They almost didn't care what you did for them medically. They just wanted to make sure they weren't going to pick something up along the way, even though, and it was only because we didn't know enough about it. And we still know very little about COVID right now. So giving people that assurance that you are doing everything in your power to take care of them is going to be really important.
Well, it's ironic how it's so ironic how when the AIDS crisis was going on in the late 80s, early 80s, late 80s, and then also what's going on now, because at that time no one really understood, right? I mean, I don't know if you remember this, Anya, but there was a dentist who was HIV positive, and there was a patient who got infected, and it wasn't until years later that they said, hey, she didn't get it from her dentist, but for a long time that was the rumor, right? And so I love the fact that you say that, because think about it from our perspective, right? Like if I had to take my daughter to like the dermatologist or something, right? I would hold off. I'm scared to go to the doctor, right?
Right.
You need to say, hey, look, we are doing, and I don't know, what do you think about maybe just doing like an emphasis, for those who are at your office and you're wondering, well, I can only talk about, dental stuff for so long. Well, how about walking around and showing what you do to actually keep the place clean?
I'm a big fan of that. I think they need to show videos before they reopen that's like a personal statement from the doctor that says, I am committed to your safety. Here's all the things that we're doing, but then give them a walking tour of your team doing this incredibly thorough sterilization and disinfection. Show them the behind the scenes sterilization that you do right now that we all take for granted every single day, but they don't know that. So they're going to need to see you using every piece of equipment that's going to make them really, really safe. And then I think there's a lot of interesting things people can do to kind of take advantage of that message once somebody is in the office. Like personally, I'm going to be a big proponent of anything digital online that you can. Online forms, online bill pay. I mean, think about it. Do you want to go up to the front desk and pick up a pen that you don't know that somebody else has used, or hand over your credit card and you don't know where the person at the front desk hands have been? People are going to be terrified of the little things. So like taking all those steps right now will actually add up to a lot.
I love that advice. And I want to say something like right now, I have to admit, I've probably eaten out. This is the most I've ever had to eat out before I got married. I mean, before I got married, I was eating out all the time with my roommates and whatnot. But this is really the big reason was because I really want to support the local businesses around the area, right? Like, I mean, all the restaurants have been hit. So, but the restaurants that I go to the most are the ones that say that I can order everything online and pay online. I literally go there, the dude comes out in the glove and mask, hands me my food, I close my window and I drive off. But other places where I actually have to pull out my credit card and do a bunch of stuff, I'm trying to kind of stay away from that. And I love the fact that, what a great time to kind of implement that and really just show, look, we want to decrease your chances of getting an infection or something like that. I love that idea. I love it. And so with speaking of that, what else are some of the things that dental practices can do or can show that to kind of get everyone feeling comfortable about coming back to our office?
So I have two ideas that I think practices are going to love. One, I think you need to have dedicated days and times that are specifically for high-risk patients. Okay. So if you think about it, the patients who have diabetes and heart disease and immune deficiencies, they're immunocompromised, they are terrified of coming into contact with the general population that isn't as vigilant as them. So what if, say, every Tuesday and Thursday, your first couple of hours of the day is 100% dedicated to them? And that means that they have guarantees that the night before you guys have done a very thorough disinfection. So they feel like they're walking into a place that's about as sterile as they can expect instead of coming in the middle of the day when everybody else has been there. So I think that could be a really powerful message that's going to help people feel like you're going the extra step for them. And then another one, it's funny you mentioned restaurants. So I want to take a page out of the restaurant book. My husband, as his side project, has also opened a craft brewery in our area.
Wow.
And
that's some good cross-marketing you could do that.
It is kind of fun because people are doing exactly what you talked about. They're supporting local business and it's been fabulous. But in the brewery, in the restaurant part of it, when someone walks in, if we don't have a table ready for them, then we get their cell phone number and we tell them, we're actually on like the local rail to trail, which is great. So we say, go take a walk on the rail to trail. We'll text you when your table is ready. So your patients are not going to want to be packed into a reception room with a bunch of other people breathing on them. They are going to want to take advantage of any texting capabilities that you have if you're using Weave or something similar. I'm a big Weave fan. That they can have text message with you to say, hey, I pulled up in the parking lot and you text me exactly when it is my time to come in, so I'm not going to be in contact with other people. They're just going to need that kind of reassurance, I think.
I love that. And really it also forces us. I mean, so many people have different companies like Weed, Mango Voice, Legwork, Modento, all those services, and yet we don't realize how many things that we don't use, right? It has all these features, and the only feature most people use is, a text reminder or something like that. And there's so many different things, whether you can pay online, right? Hey, you know what? We're going to send you like a little text message here. Go ahead and pay there. You don't even have to go up to the front. Just pay in the op and whatnot. I absolutely, absolutely love your idea of having a certain time for our older patients or the patients with medical issues. I love that, because right now, think about it, the stores that do it right now, we're all like, oh my gosh, oh my God, Costco's doing that. I love those guys, right? We love it. And I'm looking at it from like a PR standpoint. If we let everyone know, put that message out there, social media, Facebook page, all of those things, how are your patients going to feel about that? They're going to say, man, Dr. Winans, Dr. Larry Winans, man, that guy is on top of things, and I get a beer afterwards too. I love it. I love those ideas there. That is so great. So let me talk about, I'm going to shift focus a little bit, because now you're in a unique position. You got your husband's practice, you got your business, and then you got the brewery, right? You got like these three different things. And I want to just go off of from a dental standpoint, from a business standpoint. I've been asking everybody for some business tips during this time. Now, you're a prepper, so you're already prepared for this. And some people, some younger dentists, are going through this they didn't go through 2008. They're learning this for the first time. What are some tips that you can give those who are kind of scared right now financially? They're filling out all these applications, and they're worried, right? What kind of advice can you give to them?
So, because I went through that exact same thing 12 years ago.
Yeah.
The first thing that I would offer advice-wise isn't practical. It's more mental.
Yeah.
I remember being just at my last financial resource. I had already cut off the 401k for everybody. I was looking at, who was I going to have to lay off? And that was devastating to me. It meant I felt like a failure. And I remember being on a conversation with my business coach, because I didn't know how to tell my team. And she said, and I was just like sobbing at the time, to be brutally honest. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, stop. Think about what is the most difficult, most painful thing you have ever been through. And I was like, well, that's a really horrible question to ask me right now. I'm feeling bad enough as it is.
Yeah.
But I stopped and I thought about it, and I told her, and she said, okay, and you're still here, and you overcame that. And you're stronger now because you learned something from that. And it was this really sobering moment where I kind of just went, oh, wow, she's right, because that was bad. And yet I'm still here, and I learned something from that. So for me, the biggest piece of advice for everyone going through this is to think of it objectively and start to learn some lessons. What are the pain points you're in right now that you never want to go through again? For me, it was not being financially prepared. So we adopted the profit first model.
Yeah.
I have been putting money away for years and years and years. I have zero concerns that I will ever have to lay off any of my team during this crisis. So that's one big thing. But another thing to think about is you are still more of an expert now than you were before this crisis happened. And even if the absolute worst happens, you still have your skills and your talents, and you can rebuild. You are still ahead of somebody who is in dental school right now. Debt is not going to kill you. Debt is a leverage tool to help you get to a more successful place. It's okay to be comfortable with the idea of debt at a point right now. And then, the other big thing kind of from a marketing message is maintaining those relationships with your patients. They are going to support you, just like you're going out and supporting those local businesses. Yeah. They don't want you to go anywhere. They want you to be around. So maintaining that connection is going to keep them there for the long run. They're going to be willing to work with you through the hard times because they will know that you were there for them when it mattered.
Well, Xana, thank you so much for sharing that. I have to admit, you kind of tugged at my little heartstring right there for a second, because the thing is that this is real stuff, guys. And that's why each time I bring a guest on, I want them to share their advice. And Xana has we've kind of gone through. I opened my practice right after the last recession, so we kind of gone through all this together and going through it again. And I love your messages there. That look, no one wishes for this situation to happen, right? It sucks really bad, right? But you got to learn from it. You got to put yourself in a situation where you don't ever want to go through that again. I love the fact that you said that, look, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone that's watching this, you're still a dental professional. Like, this didn't take it away. Like, no one came and took your degree away. You can still help people and you can still rebuild. And people have gone through probably worse and able to rebuild as well. Just understand that everyone's kind of there at the same time. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for those who are watching right now, if you love that message, type in the comment section, Xana, there, because I absolutely love that message. And, we actually have a question that's not really marketing. It's kind of like a clinical question. So we can answer it together. But
I'm probably going to rely on you if it's clinical.
Well, the thing is like you've been working with your husband for so long. And you guys are married for a long time. So congratulations on that. We might need to ask you for some tips on how to get through that when you're in quarantine, get your marriage intact going through quarantine. But let me put this up here. I think this is an interesting question. This is, what's your thoughts about using an external suction to grab those aerosols that are flying up in the air? I have my opinions, but what do you think? What do you think?
I from a clinical standpoint, I don't know the efficacy of them, but I think anything you can do to demonstrate to patients that you're going that extra step is going to be vital. What do you think clinically?
Well, I'll tell you what, a little birdie told me, and this little birdie knows a lot of people, that there's a good chance that there's going to be a requirement that we have an air purifier in every op. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Thinking about it, I mean, I have an air purifier in my bedrooms. My kids, they have allergy issues and whatnot. So I have an air purifier in our bedrooms, right? So if you think about it, if you are having it in your house, right, wouldn't it make sense to put it in your dental practice? I mean, number one, there's stuff flying in the air. Number two, it makes things smell better anyways. So for those who are watching, like I said, a little bird told me that they're probably going to require us to have an air purifier in every op, which if you look at it, it's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing, right? I mean, if it makes my patients feel better, safer, I'm all for it. And there's all these other things that we have as well. And Xana, I want to put this up here. We have someone who said super advice. Yeah, guys, that's why I have her on. I mean, I didn't bring her on just for marketing. She's got some real world advice as well. And, she already said she's a prepper too. So look, man, we can even do a whole episode about that. And we have a few people that are just saying, Xana, yes. If you like what you're hearing, type in the comments section, Xana. So you gave some action steps. You gave some really important action steps. I'd like to go through it one more time. Okay. So let's go through that. And I think the first one, you were talking about ways to, protect your patients that are at risk. And what is that? Talk about that.
So anything that you can demonstrate, and I think this is something you can be doing right now, and it's something you do kind of when you open and as a continual part of your messaging, is to make people understand that your number one priority for them is how you're going to keep them safe. So it is videos, it is articles, it is email blasts that go out to people. It's showing that, I've got a family as well, and I wouldn't want them to get sick. So I'm taking the exact same precautions for you that I would for my own kids if my mother was in the chair here. And kind of on that note, I think once you start seeing patients again, I would advocate for, when you ask for testimonials, ask people if they would actually write a testimonial specifically about all these steps that you took. Because that is going to be so important to people. They're going to need to see your commitment from, a real life user standpoint, not just you saying that you've done it, but people who have experienced it. Here's what this doctor did that went out of the way that made me feel really safe. So I think reviews can be powerful that way, video, written, however you need to get them. And then answer people's questions. So this is a big one in my mind. People are going to have a ton of questions before they are even willing to come back in your office, right? You can anticipate what all these are going to be. Work with your team. This is a great thing to do right now. Come up with a list of all of these questions, which are really objections in disguise. It's making someone question whether they should see you or not.
Yeah.
Think about all of those possible questions and objections and work with your team to script out how should we respond to this? Because my concern is that it's going to be human nature that when a patient calls and says, I am terrified of this virus, I'm so scared, my grandmother got sick, she died, the front office or whoever's on the phone is just naturally going to want to be empathetic and is going to go right down that rabbit hole with them. And they're going to be talking about, oh my God, I went through the same thing. I lost my father-in-law. This was such a terrible disaster that we all went through. And I'm not saying we don't want to acknowledge what people are going through, but to be prepared with appropriate answers is going to put you one step ahead at making them feel comfortable. And then putting those same answers, I'd say add an infection control page to every single website.
Wow. Okay.
People need to go through what are these concerns they're going to have, and let's talk about it on your infection control page, as well as having those scripts ready for the front desk.
I know you're going over the actions as well. I want to ask you this because you work with so many dental practices out there. Like I said, Xana is the founder, lead visionary, CEO. I mean, pretty much almost every hat you can think of at Golden Proportions Marketing, and just wanted to kind of put that up there. But let me ask you this: what are you saying right now? What are you saying right now to your clients as far as that message goes? Are you telling them like, hey, look, we're going to put this on your website. Hey, we want you to put it on the Facebook page. What are you doing right now or are going to do with your current clients?
So a couple of things. We are telling absolutely everybody, let's put a pop-up on your website that when someone goes there, that you've immediately communicated what your protocol is. That
get it out of the way, right? Because that's what people are thinking in the back of their head.
Exactly. If you're seeing emergency patients, explain what is a qualified emergency and how to get a hold of you. Chat. If you don't have a chat function on your website, this is the time to add it. First of all, you have downtime, but people are going to have their questions and they're going to want to ask. So having someone on your team monitoring chat, I'm a big fan of Swell, and I think they have a new chat function. We've been putting it on a bunch of people's websites. So doing that right now, and then pausing a lot of the marketing that we're doing. I understand people are like, hey, I need to save money. But a good place, if you still want to keep patients moving, is to do a Google ad or a Facebook ad campaign specifically for emergencies. And then you can use all that same messaging through all of that type of marketing to keep people coming in. Because if you think about it, let's say that there's 20 practices in your town. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bet that probably 15 of them aren't even seeing emergencies. They are just totally shut down. But there's still the exact same number of emergencies happening on a day-to-day basis. There's nothing that's changed in our world that said all of a sudden we have 75% less emergencies. So if you want some new patients now and opportunities to turn those people into patients long-term for the future, this is a great opportunity to capture them if you're comfortable seeing that kind of patient.
Yeah. No, I love that because actually we only see emergency patients here, right? So, patients that are anything that can lead them, that's my career, anything that can lead them going into the emergency room, I want to see them because number one, I don't want them to go to the emergency room because I don't want them to possibly contract anything. Right. But also some of my patients are physicians, are nurses and whatnot. And I already know how busy they are. The last thing I want is to contribute to that. So I see those patients and I'll tell you what, just this past week, I had a patient just said, hey, look, my dentist was not even open. I was in pain. I was thinking about going to emergency. I just started calling around and you guys were open. So thank you. They thanked me, right? And I said, no, thank you for doing that. And so It's so important, right? It's so important. I love that. And one of the action steps you said that I thought was so amazing, and I want to get your opinion if that's something that you think might be something to do in the foreseeable future. That is having a certain time for your older patients and for the patients that that have any immunocompromisation here. Sorry, I can't even talk right now. Or that are high risk. I love that idea. Do you think that's something that obviously you should do right now, but do you think that's something that might have to be adopted in the future?
I don't know that it's anything that the state would ever require, but I think it's an incredible positioning opportunity for practices. And I'm going to bet very few of them will have thought ahead to do this. And the doctors who do, you are going to get, you think about it, the patients that have perio or that have diabetes often have really bad perio that goes along with it. So you're also bringing in a patient who needs work by positioning yourself as taking extra special care of these high-risk people.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And you know what? We have people just giving you a shout out, very helpful advice. And what a great way to start off the day. Well, hey, I try to bring people who have some inspiring messages because we definitely can hear more of that. We actually have this doctor said that, hey, right now I'm actually offering free emergency exams to senior citizens.
That's an excellent idea. I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
Really?
Thanks, Doc. I might have to use that myself there. I love it. And so, I want to just make sure that we send this message as well, because look, the first thing we want to do whenever there's like a crisis, right? We want to cut everything off, right? I mean, you see it in the group, right? They're like, okay, I'm going to stop using this service. I'm going to stop using this. I want to take everything out. I'm just going to pay my electric bill and my phone bill, and that's it, right? But, when it comes to marketing, right? When you go radio silent or when you just turn it off, why is that a bad thing when you do that?
Well, it's a bad thing because brand awareness is a constant battle. There are 1,700 messages a day that people are bombarded with between all the social media and even just driving down the road. And so you are constantly fighting for that share of someone's attention. So as soon as you stop that cold, you're rebuilding from scratch if you're for 2 or 3 months. So I think that's not where you want to go. Things like SEO, this is not the time to cut it off. It took an awful long time to get somebody to the top of page 1. I'm betting for most of the docs listening, this was a battle. And as soon as you stop paying attention, Google says you don't care about your website and you're going to start to rank or to drop in the ranks. But also, you got a lot of competitors who are doing exactly what you just mentioned, where they're stopping it cold. So if they're going to stop and they're going to drop, you might as well be the one to rise right now. It's a great competitive opportunity from a marketing standpoint. And it's not like we're going to be closed. This isn't the recession where it was 2 or 3 years worth of slow, horrible recovery. This is a quick drop, but it's going to be a really quick jump back up, and you got to be prepared for it.
I totally agree with that. And here's the thing. Yes, people are scared, and we don't know what the future holds, but we do know this is going to end eventually. And we look, our government's doing everything they can with with the stimulus plan, with all these loans and whatnot. Look, people are getting their financial resources there, and people still have their dental issues, right? So yes, we can only see emergencies right now, but I'll tell you right now, I have so many people call all the time. They're like, hey, I still need to get that crown, Dr. Rose. That gonna lead to an emergency or something? I'm like, well, technically I can't do anything right now, but first chance I can see you are coming in. And there's gonna be a lot of patients out there because they're not even sure you're gonna be open, right? Right now, I'm wondering, like, my favorite coffee shop, like I check every day, like, can I still order a coffee? Like, I'm not even sure. And our patients or potential patients, they're wondering too, like, is this guy's office gonna be open still? You want to have that message out there that, hey, look, I'm still here. I'm still doing, you're doing all these videos, you're doing all these things. You're keeping that brand awareness there. And the people who don't, they're going to wonder, they're going to think their office is closed.
Absolutely. You've got to stay in contact. And that's why social media is so great right now, is because it just lets them know you're still alive, you're thinking about them. You can put up a review from an emergency patient that you saw. Anybody that you were taking care of, your community is going to talk about that because They are looking out for the people who are taking care of those who are in need right now. Anything where you can be helpful. So like from a PR standpoint, and it'll just make you feel better, donating a little bit of your personal protective equipment. I saw a campaign on NPR, absolutely love this. There's a group called the Mask Crusaders. And they are going around and they are getting those N95 masks from like people who have them in their basement because they did woodworking or they were doing home improvement stuff. There's a lot of things you can do right now to create that brand awareness that are just also going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
They're going to make you feel like you're doing something in this battle to make a difference.
I mean, it's better than just sitting at home moping, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you know, I'm sure most of us already did that. It's time to get that out of your system there. And, you know, we have another doc here that's putting, you know, some good advice here. I mean, you can go out and do some volunteer work, serve your community, post it on social media. Kind of what we were just talking about just there.
Yeah, that message, it's really important right now because people see the whole community pulling together.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so you know, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So obviously, you shared so much awesome advice, and you know, in times like these when we're kind of quarantined in our houses and we feel like we're so far away from everyone. I've kind of encouraged people to just reach out, right? Like, look, reach out. I mean, kid you not, it's down to 25 now. But for a while, it was like 50 messages a day that I had to go through, and people were just asking me questions. And look, I'm not an expert in a lot of things, but I can just steer you in the right direction. So I'm going to put you on the spot. So for those who are watching and those in the community, if they have a marketing question or a business question or something, can they reach out to you?
Oh, of course. I'm doing completely free. And honestly, I've been offering this to everybody, completely free marketing consultations. Like what's going to be the plan to get you up and running so that you're ready? Because it's going to take some preparation, but you got to know what the plan is. And this is the time to work on it. So anybody who wants to, I don't care what agency you're working with. I'm not asking you to work with me. I'm so passionate about this dental community. I want to help save dental practices. So call me, email me. I will happily set up an hour consult with you and just give you some advice on what you can do to save money now and what you need to do to come out of this like gangbusters, because we've got a lot of ground to make up for being off for a couple of months. Yeah. There's some money that has to be made back up. And if you're not ready for it, your competitors are going to trample all over you.
Well, and you know, we already got a thank you for that. So thank you, Doc, for thanking Xana. And Xana, thank you so much for that. And again, like I said, my goal is to bring people who are experts in their industry to help us out. Xana has been working with dental practices, with marketing for so long. Her husband's a dentist, okay? She understands what's going on with us right now. And I wanted to bring her on for not only just tips for marketing, but just some business and some life lessons as well. So for those who are just now jumping on, I asked her, could you kind of help our community? And she said, absolutely, yes. So I'll put her information in the comments section. I already tagged her in this post. Look, just send her a message here. And she is willing to help you out, any kind of advice, whether marketing. And hey, look, you want to ask her about prepper stuff, that's between you guys. You can ask that too. And you know what? We got a little message here. And you're so awesome with a big heart. Love your passion. It is contagious. I know it is. I actually feel a lot better after doing this Facebook Live with her. I'm like hyped up here. I love it.
One more thing I want to throw out there.
Okay.
Because I
over deliver. I love that.
I need to help people. We started a page like 3 weeks ago. It's just goldenproportions.com/COVID-19. If you go there, it is basically a master index of resources from the entire dental community, all the things you needed to do to properly shut down your practice clinically, financial things that you can do, information on if you have to lay off your team, what are the steps you need to take. It's not just marketing, it is everything about COVID-19 for practices. So if you go there, we're actually sending out like a daily update. You just drop your email address in and you're going to get resources every single day to kind of get you through this so we can all come out on the other side.
I absolutely love that. I will definitely. I want to get that link from you. I'll put it in the comments later. But yeah. So look, I mean, we got that resource. Xana is a resource for us as well. If you have any questions, marketing, business, right? I mean, she's kind of gone through this situation before. You want to talk about life stuff? You want to talk about prepping? I mean, I love that. I might have to talk to you about that. Reach out to her. And Xana, thank you so much. And before we come off, I just want you to what kind of message and advice can you share with those who are stuck at home right now watching this and a little worried about what's going to happen in the future? What kind of advice can you give to everybody?
My advice is nothing lasts forever. People are still going to have teeth when this is done. You still have your dental credentials. You are still going to have patients who need to see you. This is a temporary blip. We are all going to get stronger from adversity. I truly believe that. If you don't stop and take a lesson from what we're going through right now, it'll hurt you later on. But so while you've got this downtime, work on all those things that are going to make your business stronger. Checking out the optimization of your website, doing all of the systems that you needed to make your practice stronger, but you never had time for before, updating things like adding those online forms and online scheduling and all that stuff. This is the time to do your product demos, frankly, all the great ideas that are out there. So this is a short period of time. It is not going to impact us for an entire year. We're talking another month or two, and then we're coming out of it. I truly believe we're all strong enough to get through this. And, give yourself a purpose. Use your time wisely to create a business plan so that you are ready and raring to go when they lift the restrictions.
I love it. That's such great advice. And I'm going to say one thing, and she's not going to say this. I mean, Xana's so modest and everything, but when things are going bad, when there's a time of crisis, you really see who really kind of cares about you, cares about your business, cares about your community. And I want to say that, when I had a meeting with a lot of the vendors that we have deals with, now, honestly, not everyone even showed up to that meeting, but Xana was there and she was like, I want to give some advice, do something. And so she's never going to say that herself, but I'm going to say that. And so Xana, thank you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for just agreeing to give your time to talk to anyone that needs some help here. I truly appreciate you for all that.
Thank you. I love this group. This is such a good, passionate group. I appreciate the opportunity to just share some ideas with them.
Thanks. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. And like I said, I'll put all that in the comments. Actually, I'll tell you what, she's got an awesome team. They already beat me to it. They already put it in there.
Cool.
Okay. So Jen already put the resources there, so click on that. But I'll also, put Xana's website in as well. Unless Jen, you beat me to it, you might probably already typing it in already, so that you can reach out to her. So Xana, thank you so much for jumping on, and everyone, thank you so much. We'll see y'all later.
Thanks, Glenn.